ACES Interviews. Conversations to empower. Introducing Vicky Laylor.
Hello and welcome to ACES Interview Conversation to Empower. I'm Leo Coach and speaker. I'm joined today by Vicky Laylor. Vicky is a post-op trans woman who educates about trans issues both on social media and in the real world. She takes a gradual approach to educated people, ensuring to take care of her own mental health. Vicky is very passionate to show that, like all trans people, she is a normal person and isn't more than her gender. Thanks for joining me, Vicky. A while ago, you were part of a Channel 4 documentary about the process of transitioning. Do you think there has been a progressive shift in how the judges approach trans plus issues for such programs?
I don't think there's been many transgender programs of late. But the last one I seem to watch was the Channel 4 one about a gender critical journalist. I can't remember her name. And it was a bit of a dog whistle for this person who got cancelled to speak. I think it was at Oxford University. I'm not totally sure on that. That was the last one I saw, and I don't know. I mean, I get why Channel 4 did it, I guess, because to see the other side, but I think when untruths are spoken about we in the trans community, it's really dangerous. And there's a lot of untruths about we trans people, just for, and all I can think it's for is just a political game. So, since I was on a documentary called The Making of Me, I do think the reporting's got a lot worse, but I think a lot of it's to do with politics, both in the UK and the US and other places around the world.
Yeah, I would agree. I think trans plus issues are kind of now more talked about and more highlighted, but unfortunately, the correction we would have liked to have seen hasn't really happened, and I think there's quite a lot of scaremongering that goes on, which is, like you said,
There's a lot of scaremongering.
very detrimental and very dangerous.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot of scaremongering, and there's just no need. But maybe, I don't know if it's just me thinking positively, but I do think, I hope and pray that, although I'm not religious, but I do think that people are seeing through the bull now of the negative political discourse in this country, at least in the UK. I do think people are realizing that we aren't anyone to be scared of. We're not a community to be scared of. We just want to live as lives and we're just pretty much the same as everybody else, but we've had or having a unique experience because we've kind of lived two lives in one when you're trans. So we've got a unique perspective on life, what a lot of other people haven't got or had.
And maybe that kind of shift in overnight didn't has also something to do with there's a lot of positive trans plus creators out there online who are documenting their journeys and documenting their experiences, meaning other people can see actually what we go through is nothing to be frightened of. We are just people trying to live our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think this is why it's so important for we in the trans community to do the social media, uh, to show that we're just normal people and not no one to be frightened of. And it doesn't always have to be direct sort of education. Even because I've seen some other trans people and they'll just show themselves doing normal things, the hobbies, their interests, maybe DJing or motor, into motorcycles as I'm into motorcycling. But I haven't done anything on socials with that side yet. But it's something I'm planning to do in the future. And yeah, I think it's so important just to show that we ordinary people, but at the same time, we have got to look after our own mental health and not carry the world on our shoulders. But at the same time, this is our lives, and it's almost sometimes it feels like we're battling for survival. So we have to push through sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's really important to show kind of the normal everyday life. And I think um as I read in your opening, you're very aware of taking care of your mental health. And I think
Yeah.
when it comes to social media, that is critical because I think it can be very easy to kind of give yourself a lot and then, you know, send them on social media. Um, People can be quite intrusive and it can get very tiring and also a bit traumatic that you kind of let it take over.
Yeah, for sure. It can get very tiring and traumatic. And like anybody else, we in the trans community, we're all individuals and we can all handle different levels of stress and pressure. So it's important that for us in the community, and actually not just we trans and non-binary and other gender diverse people, but also for our allies, because our allies, they really are part of this family. And there's a great woman on TikTok called Sarah in the US who she does a fantastic job at fighting us corner. And I've said to her many a times, don't forget to look after your own mental health, though. We really appreciate you, but look after your own mental health as well, because there's just so many poisonous people on social media. But also as well, something I've become aware of lately is trying to I've streamed down sort of the social media a bit. So I've still got the socials, but on my Facebook and my Instagram, for example, I'm just me. I don't do any of this. I'm just I'm just me. Apart from on special days like Trans Day of Visibility, Trans Day of Remembrance, because when you've got friends who are also part of the trans community, um, if I'm constantly putting out negative sort of real life stuff, what's happening to us out there, it, that could potentially get some of my friends down. So that's why I've reserved me sort of um, trans education activism, if you like, just for TikTok now, um, so that I'm not putting out sort of not causing any. or causing minimal amount of pressures and stresses. So if someone wants to follow me and they don't want to be reminded of the fights that we've got in real life, they can follow me on the other socials where I don't do that. And then if they want to listen to me, if they're in a bit of a need for reassurance that there's people out there fighting for our community, then they can follow me on TikTok. So I think that's important as well. We've got to be mindful, even we activists, and allies, we've got to be mindful of other people's in our community's mental health and not put out too much negative information.
Yeah, it's really important to get that balance. And like you said, not only are followers likely to be people that may want to learn more about trans and non-binary gender areas, but also they are those in our community who may not want to be reminded all the time about our fights. And I was just thinking, I know that you do quite a lot on TikTok, and I was just wondering really, what do you find the reception more positive on TikTok, or has it been harder? Which platform do you think is it more kind of receptive?
I'd say, to be honest, TikTok is harder. I'd definitely say that. You do seem to get more, what's the word, just nasty people. I think that's the only word I can think of. TERFs and just nasty people on, which TERFs means like trans, exclusively radical feminist, and yeah, just people just against us just for no good reason. It's just bigotry. So I think you do get more of that on TikTok. But at the same time, I think TikTok, because it is a videoing app, it does lend itself better to doing this kind of work, activism, than say Facebook and Instagram. Although I have used Instagram quite successfully, Instagram does work as well. But I think maybe TikTok's a bit more fashionable at the moment as well, so it's possible to get more traction on TikTok. And you have to take a bit of the rough with the smooth when you're an activist and educator. But at the same time, there is steps you can take on TikTok, so you can choose to block certain words so that they don't show in the comments, and you can restrict who can comment a bit more specifically, I think, on TikTok than on Insta and Facebook.
Yeah, like you said, I think TikTok is very popular now, and it lends itself more readily to video content. Well, I guess that's all you can do on there. And that would be easier to reach a large amount of people. I also, I, I kind of think, having been on it a bit more recently, I kind of wonder if the demographic is younger too. So, like, kind of both positive and negative, I think. But like you said, I do like the way you can filter more easily and kind of block certain words and certain phrases.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think TikTok's a good point you made there. I think TikTok is a younger audience generally, but there's quite a bit of an older audience as well, which I think maybe is important because I think the younger audience tends to be like, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my late 40s now. And I think the younger audience, so those in the teens, the 20s, up to early sort of 30s, tend to be a bit more on board anyway. But some of those people maybe in the community looking to we elders to give that reassurance that, hey, look, there is a future. You know, I'm 47, I'm here, I'm living my truth. So you can get there as an 18-year-old too. And rest assured, you've got we Gen Xers fighting the cause as well as, you know, millennials and other generations. Um, but I think it's important to reach that older demographic as well. And there is an older demographic as well. What you starting to use I think initially TikTok was more the younger ones. It was more like the teenagers, early 20s. But I think there is an older demographic on there now. And as like Sarah, who I've mentioned before, one of those allies, she's in her 30s and she's doing great things. So yeah, yeah. But like you say, with TikTok, you can block certain keywords, and I think they call it folding the comments so that it doesn't show up. But sometimes as well, try and get a balance between hiding comments and showing them, because sometimes I feel like we need to show some of the comments just so people know what we're fighting against, because there can be this thing of, oh, really, really, you know, you trans people, we're just drama queens, like, you know. I think there can be a bit of that attitude. So sometimes showing some of the comments, even if it's just for a time period, which I've done before, and then delete so that people can see, actually, look, this is what we're fighting against. We're not just wanting stuff as own way or extra rights compared to the masses. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea to show some of the comments. Even if it's for limited time. So, my next question is, what do you find empowering?
It's an interesting question. It's a hard one to answer. So um I think I take a lot of power from as allies. I think that is in this context, the trans environment, the trans non-binary, gender diverse environment. It's when I see our allies fighting for us, that helps me keep going, you know. Um, because the thing is with we trans, we're biased, whereas someone who's out of the side of the community but really passionately fighting for us, that is really heartwarming. So, you know, I find that empowering and that enables me to keep going, because it's like, oh, look, well, maybe something I'm doing and the rest of us in the trans community is doing is infusing, encouraging our allies to say, you know what, I'm going to take up that cause. So then in turn, it comes back on me and encourages me, empowers me to keep going, because it's like I'm seeing the fruits of my labor by seeing our allies fighting for us, because maybe people like me are empowering them. And then in turn, when I'm feeling down and maybe unmotivated, that then lifts me back up to keep going. So I think that's what I find. And also outside of the trans community, something I find really empowering is seeing our cis women, how the landscape's changed so much. Like, a lot of women, cis women, they're breaking free of the old shackles of, what women should and shouldn't do type thing, if you get what I mean. They're moving away from that. So, like, I go to the gym and I see loads of women, they're shifting heavyweight, they're not scared to put on the muscle, pack on the muscle, and, the hairstyles and just like some of us in the trans community, we're not living to the binary, that's the word. And when I see cis women doing that, that empowers me too, because I'm unique looking, and I'm proud of that now. But that wasn't always the case. At one time, I wanted to pass for cis because it's just easier, and I felt like I had to do that to get taken seriously. But now I don't feel like I have to do that to get taken seriously. And seeing other women break those female stereotypical roles, female stereotypical ways, I find that empowering and inspiring.
Yeah, I think like just not not allowing society to kind of be not letting the pressure come on to us because what it's very hard. There's so much pressure out there in the media. We're bombarded with all the time, celebrities, famous people, all non-stop. This is how to be a woman, this is how to be a man, and I think it's freedom for everyone, whether we are non-binary, trans, like this, you know, to have that freedom to be how we want to be dressed, how we want to dress our hair, how we act, how we behave. It's so liberating for everyone, and it shouldn't be about stereotypes anymore. It's 2024. Surely we can break out of that now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, it's important for guys as well, whether you're trans guy, cis guy, whatever way you identify, you shouldn't have to live up to any state. It's not healthy. And we're seeing the statistics back up, like especially with men's mental health, how unhealthy these old-fashioned stereotypes are. So yeah, it's just not healthy, regardless of your gender. It's just not healthy to who makes the rules, who makes these rubbish rules anyway. It's just nonsense. Just be, as Calvin Klein once said, just be.
Exactly, exactly. And actually, when you trace it back, a lot of it comes from advertising and media, and a lot of that is because of making money and making capital. Yeah. If we get rid of that and see it as it was a money making scheme, and that was it. Then we can break away with that and be who we want to be and live how we want to live.
Yeah, yeah. Media, media's a powerful thing, and marketing's very powerful. That's why it costs a lot of money for marketing. People spend a lot of money, big companies spend a lot of money on marketing because it works. It works as much as we don't want to admit it. It works. Marketing works. So yeah, it's once we break away from it and break away from celebrity worship and because there's loads of fantastic people, everyday people in the street, your neighbour, your friend, your family, work. There's loads, you know what I mean? But yeah, yeah. So we don't we don't need celebrities to be inspired. We don't, to be in awe of somebody. They don't need to be famous. There's loads of cool people in the world. There's loads of cool Mr. and Mrs. Smiths and they thems, so just be.
Exactly. Then my next question is, what difference would you like to see or make in the world?
Well, just less bigotry is the easy answer. Less bigotry, less hate. There's a lot of hate at the moment. And just more love, more peace and love. As you know, if you've probably seen, I always often sign out with the peace and love um, on my TikToks and when I'm messaging people. Um, yeah, just more peace and love and less hate in the world, and that's and good health, more good mental health for sure, and as well as physical health. And yeah, that's the most important. And everybody just be able to live free and be who they are without judgment and fear.
And I was just thinking maybe going with that, maybe more kind of understanding and more open-mindedness about experiences that differ from your own, because, just because someone else is doing something which we may not have experience of, or we may not directly understand, doesn't mean we can then go and attack that person, because it doesn't make sense to us. I think where it's gonna feel like society goes wrong a little bit is when we don't understand something and we can't kind of identify with it. People get scared and then they go on the attack, when really, if we could let that go and not feel like we're being threatened, because it's not a threat to us what someone else is doing, really. And I think it would make the world a lot more understanding.
Yeah, all of that, what you just said. Yeah, people do go on the attack. I don't, it's like we don't learn from history because, like, I'm the product of Windrush generation, late parents now. And, look at the 50s and the 60s, people like, ooh, they look different, you know, and people like say they went on the attack because they're different. It was different for a different reason, because of race rather than gender. But again, it's going on the attack, like you say, because just because of difference, you know, regardless of race, creed, color, or gender, we all feel we've all got to pay the bills. We all love, and we all care, and we all fear. We all fear stuff as well. It's a natural human emotion, but we don't all go on the attack because of fears, and education is the key to getting rid of some of that fear. And that's why it's important that people like me and you do what we do. So, yeah. But we do definitely need to learn from history of and stop fearing difference, and use the internet. We can use the internet for good because there's the information's out there.
Yeah, certainly. now more than ever, the information is out there, and regardless of our age or gender or sexuality or disability, we are all people, and that is what we share in common. And I think people forget that fundamental fact that we are all the same species, and we all share. Like you said, we all need to pay bills. We all wake up, we all eat, and if we could just remember that, the world would be a lot better place.
Sure, definitely. I think we just need to learn to be kinder. That's what it comes down to. We need to be kind, guys.
Exactly, and like you said, now with social media, it's so much easier to learn and to educate ourselves and understand other people's experiences. It's all at the end of the phone on our screen. You don't even need to leave your house and you can learn what's it like to live in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like you said earlier. You could just use social media for good. Then going back to an earlier discussion, it's like in some way there's more toxicity now, but which is a bad thing, obviously. But at the same time, we are known about now. So, like when I first come out officially in 2015, if I walk down the street, people are like, what's that? An alien? What's it? Is that an alien? What's just walked past me? Because people weren't as aware. Whereas, so it was harder to sit on a bus as your authentic self or a tram or a train because of that. What's that person doing? What's he? Why does he look like? Why is he wearing makeup? Whereas with now people know because we're out there. Although the discourse is the word I'm looking for. Although it's quite toxic at the moment, we are known about, and that is an achievement in itself. The fact that we trans, non-binary, gender diverse people, we are all known about, that is an achievement in itself. But we just need to start using this social media and the internet to educate more, which obviously is happening. Because at one time, when I was young, there was no internet, and you just had out-of-date libraries. So, you know, internet, it's a double-edged sword. Social media is a double-edged sword. It's both. It can be toxic, but it can be a great tool as well. I don't know if that's totally gonna, way off subject of your last point. But
No, that makes sense. You're right. The basis is there now. Trans, non-binary, gender variant people are known about. We do exist, and society knows that. Now it's just about um, shaping and shifting some of those negative, toxic, outdated attitudes that are really born out of misplaced fear.
and we are
Yeah,
getting there. We are getting there, don't you think?
yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. I mean, I came out in 2011, and when I went to the doctor had no idea what to do. And now, it's a lot more mainstream, and even the GP kind of, most of them have some idea of what needs to be done when someone says, I want to look at their gender or transition or something.
Yeah, that's something I've done in the past. So that goes neatly into me real life stuff that I've done. And one of the things I have done is I did an interview with one of the health managers at one of the local A&E hospitals, um, who was head of the medical training. So people trained to be doctors, nurses, etc. Um, he did a Graham Norton style interview with me, which was recorded, and then that video was going to get shown to those medical trainees so that when they become the next lot of GPs, nurses, doctors, they are aware of at least one person's experience of being trans rather than it being totally alien. So yeah, you come out before 4 years before me then. Um, I was part time around 2011 because I was married and I've got kids. My kids were young then, so I didn't fully come out until officially come out until 2015. And yeah, I went to my GP and she was great, and I'm glad it was a woman. And she admitted, she said she hasn't got any clue about the trans experience because as a general practitioner, as you will know yourself, it's not something they'll most train on. Um, they don't train about um, gender dysphoria. It doesn't come into it. But she did everything right, and she got a dictaphone out, and basically it was like a mini chick appointment. You know, for those who aren't aware, JIC stands for Gender Identity Clinic. So, yeah, it was like a mini appointment. She asked me questions, why I feel this way, blah, 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 blah. And she typed it up from what she recorded from a dictaphone, and she emailed the local gender identity clinic in Sheffield, the Porterbrook, where I live, and sent it off to them. And she said it will probably be about a year before you get your first appointment, which now a year, it's like, wow, that's super fast. You're in the express lane. But back then it seemed like, 12 months. So I went private for my HRT initially. And then I got a call from the gender identity clinic saying it's been put back 6 months, just because of the sheer waiting list growing. And then luckily for me, someone got knocked off the list at 15 months, I think, because they'd missed too many appointments, probably. And I got their place. The rest is history. And I'm here, in my fabulous self. And yeah, so, but yeah, the GPs, they are learning more about us now, but there's still a way to go because I've got a friend, a trans man friend, not too long ago, was telling me about some experience at his local GP in Scarborough. And it was a bit of an uphill battle to begin with, but he's moved in with his partner now at Castleford, and he's a lot better service. So yeah.
Yeah, And then I think on the whole, you know, well, I think it a bit of both. I think we're both moving forward and moving back at the same time. So they are both positive, along with unfortunately a lot of negative. Um, well, unfortunately, we need to end it there. So how can people connect with you, Vicky?
So they can connect with me on the TikTok at Vicky Vix 77 or um, Vix 5431, I think it is. There's Vix Laylor, so VIX, and the surname Laylor on Instagram, and also Vicky Laylor, Vicky with a Y on Facebook.
Okay, great. And I share all your social media links with it interview so everyone knows where to find you. Thank you very much tonight, guest Vicky Lola. Thank you everyone who watched this. Check out all the other conversations, find out more about my coaching and speaking at leohc.co.uk, and H's interview will be back soon with another powerful conversation. Bye for now.
Bye, thank you. Thank you, you've been great.
Thanks for watching Ace's interviews. Find out more about Vicky Laylor in the show notes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.